You will be provided 2 pages to study for each question that will be at the end of this course. The first page is the actual question and answer that will most likely be on the DPS test. The second page is the support material for the answer to the question. Step 1 to this study approach is to see the actual question and answer without distractors. This will help your mind remember the answer when distractors are present. Step 2 is to read and study the reasoning behind the answer to the question. You will see portions of the support material in green. This is the actual answer to the question. In some cases, you will also see sentences in red. These are also very important parts of the explanation that may appear on the DPS test as another question. You must sign the inspection report made by the previous driver only when pre-trip inspection. Before driving your bus, you must be sure it is safe. You must review the inspection report made by the previous driver. Only if defects reported earlier have been certified as repaired or not needing to be repaired should you sign the previous driver's report. This is your certification that the defects reported earlier have been fixed. Name one of the prohibited practices while operating a bus. While driving a bus driver Prohibited practices. Avoid fueling your bus with riders on board unless absolutely necessary. Never refuel in a closed building with riders on board. Don't talk with riders or engage in any other distracting activity while driving. Do not tow or push a disabled bus with riders aboard the vehicle unless getting off would be unsafe. Only tow or push the bus to the nearest safe spot to discharge passengers. Follow your employer's guidelines on towing or pushing disabled buses. What is true about buses and hazardous material? If a rider wants to bring a car battery or a can of gasoline aboard your bus, you should forbidden hazardous materials. Buses may carry small arms ammunition labeled ORM-D emergency hospital supplies and drugs. You can carry small amounts of some other hazardous materials if the shipper cannot send them any other way. Buses must never carry Class 2 poison, liquid Class 6 poison, tear gas, or irritating materials. More than 100 pounds of solid Class 6 poisons, explosives in the space occupied by people except small arms ammunition, labeled radioactive material in the space occupied by people, more than 500 pounds total of allowed hazardous materials, and no more than 100 pounds of any one class. Riders sometimes board a bus with an unlabeled hazardous material. They may not know it's unsafe. Do not allow riders to carry any common hazards such as car batteries or gasoline. While driving the bus, you should passenger supervision. Many charter and intercity carriers have passenger comfort and safety rules. Mention rules about smoking, drinking, or use of radio and tape players at the start of the trip. Explaining the rules at the start will help to avoid trouble later on. While driving, scan the interior of your bus as well as the road ahead, to the sides, and to the rear. You may have to remind riders about rules or to keep arms and head inside the bus. You are driving at night and you must dim your headlights from high to low. What should you do with your speed? Headlights. At night, your headlights will usually be the main source of light for you to see and for others to see you. You can't see nearly as much with your headlights as you can in the daytime. With low beams, you can see about 250 feet, and with high beams, about 350 to 500 feet. You must adjust your speed to keep your stopping distance within your sight distance. This means going slow enough to be able to stop within the range of your headlights. Otherwise, by the time you see a hazard, you will not have time to stop. Night driving can be more dangerous if you have problems with your headlights. Dirty headlights may give only half the light they should. This cuts down your ability to see and makes it harder for others to see you. Make sure your lights are clean and working. Headlights can be out of adjustment. If they don't point in the right direction, they won't give you a good view and they can blind other drivers. Have a qualified person make sure they're adjusted properly. It is best to wear your seatbelt. Use your seatbelt. The driver's seat should always have a seatbelt. Always use it for safety. When you arrive at a bus stop, you should announce the riders should be reminded to take belongings with them at your destination. When arriving at the destination or the intermediate stops, announce the location, the reason for stopping, the next departure time, and the bus number. Remind riders to take carry-ons with them when they get off the bus. If the aisle is on a lower level than the seats, remind riders of the step down. It is best to tell them before coming to a complete stop. Charter bus drivers should not allow riders on the bus until departure time. This will help prevent theft or vandalism of the bus. Which of these will result in the best control on curves? Speed and curves. Drivers must adjust their speed for curves in the road. If you take a curve too fast, two things can happen. The tires can lose their traction and continue straight ahead, making you skid off the road, or the tires may keep their traction and the vehicle rolls over. Tests have shown that trucks with a high center of gravity can roll over at a posted speed limit for a curve. Slow to a safe speed before you enter a curve. Braking in a curve is dangerous because it is easier to lock the wheels and can cause a skid. Slow down as needed. Don't ever exceed the posted speed limit for the curve. Be in a gear that will allow you to accelerate slightly in the curve. This will help you keep control. You should check your mirrors. Seeing to the sides and rear. It's important to know what's going on behind and to the sides. Check your mirrors regularly and check more often in special situations. If a bus leans in a curve, every banked curve has a design speed. For buses, this speed on curves. Crashes on curves that kill people and destroy buses result from excessive speed, often when rain or snow has made the road slippery. Every banked curve has a safe designed speed. In good weather, the posted speed is safe for cars, but it may be too high for many buses. With good traction, the bus may roll over. With poor traction, it might slide off the curve. Reduce speed for curves if your bus leans toward the outside on a banked curve. You are driving too fast. You are driving on a slippery road during the day. How much space does the driver's manual say you should keep ahead of you? How much space? How much space should you keep in front of you? One good rule says you need at least 1 second for each 10 feet of a vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles an hour. At greater speeds, you must add 1 second for safety. For example, if you're driving a 40-foot vehicle, you should leave 4 seconds between you and the vehicle ahead. In a 60-foot rig, you'll need 6 seconds. Over 40 miles an hour, you need 5 seconds for a 40-foot vehicle and 7 seconds for a 60-foot vehicle. To know how much space you have, wait until the vehicle ahead passes a shadow on the road, a pavement marking, or some other clear landmark. Then count off the seconds like this: 1001, 1002, and so on, until you reach the same spot. Compare your count with the rule of 1 second for every 10 feet of length. If you are driving a 40-foot truck and only counted up to 2 seconds, you're too close. Drop back a little and count again until you have 4 seconds of following distance, or 5 seconds if you're going over 40 miles an hour. After a little practice, you'll know how far back you should be. Remember to add 1 second for speed above 40 miles an hour. Also remember that when the road is slippery, you need much more space to stop.